Howdy, Homelux Lives. I think it's time we play a little 7 Days to Die. Alright. What did I just say? Oh, I must be breaking apart something. Did you see that zombie jump? What are you doing, zombie? You gonna get punched in the face? That's what you're doing? Man, I tell you what. Oh, you really got punched in the face. Woof. Your face came right off, and you gave me the ammo type I like to use. That's awesome. That was an awesome zombie punch. Uh, I don't like to talk about things like politics, but this is more meta politics. Uh, so, somebody on my Facebook feed, right, posts this picture of maps that make you go, huh? And so it was a picture of the United States and it was a list of all the states that have less population than the county of Los Angeles. And someone posts, this is what the, this is what the, wow, now I'm going to forget. Wow. This is what the, um, are you kidding me? My brain just totally has blocked out. I guess it doesn't want me to talk about it. The Electoral College. There we go. This is what the Electoral College was designed for. Most people, uh, most people have either never had it explained to them or have forgotten what they learned in school. And I'm like, okay, okay. I'm like, you don't post politics. You don't talk politics. Don't don't argue with this person. And I'm not going to argue. That's fine. I'm not even going to post on it, but I am going to talk about it in this video. I don't understand what that means. Like explain it to me. Like I apparently never had it explained to me and am incapable of researching it myself. And I did to make sure what I remembered being the rules for the Electoral College being what I remembered, and they were. And I'm a little confused how a map showing how little population there is in most of the states has anything to do with a system based off of the population of a state. I'm thinking they must have confused the Electoral College and the Senate because every state gets two senators. Uncle Yankers caskets. Oh, I can't read. This is Undie Takers caskets. Uncle Yankers, Undie Takers, whatever. And so yeah, so I had to look up how the electoral. I'm like, I'm pretty sure the electoral college is based off of population. What do you mean by that? And it is. It's your two senators plus the number of representatives your state has in the federal government, which is representatives are based off of population. And it's why the census is a big thing, because when the census comes through, the number of representatives in Congress changes a lot of times. And so I was very confused by that statement, and I'm just like, I just, oof, I don't think you know what you're talking. Well, obviously they're not, but I don't think it means what you think it means. I don't understand. It just, it hurts my brain. It hurts my brain. Okay, you want your bike there. I know the arrow is close, but you want your bike. Okay, so now this is a go in and take the thing. So I want to make sure there's nothing really good in here that I want to loot before this place refreshes. Yeah, I'm not a fan of the Electoral College. I understand why it existed. I just don't think it has a point now. Being that it was developed, you know, in the 1700s, and then changed later, but developed in the 1700s because they didn't have things like telegraph or telephones or a mail system or you know, anything like that, and so they were unable to quickly obtain the vote results, and so instead of whatever method they couldn't figure out, they just sent representatives from each state to say, this is how our state votes. And as far as I'm aware, that is why we have it. The problem I have with it is that it doesn't represent the makeup of the voters, and so for an example, nothing political. This is just meta. In my state, it was pretty evenly split. The last election, it was about 47% one way, 47.3% the other way. I looked it up, and so the problem is that we know those numbers, and they are instantaneously able to be sent. But the way the Electoral College works, they don't mean anything. And so even though the number of representatives, electoral votes, because an electoral vote is a person. It's the number of representatives you get to send to Washington to vote on who's going to be the president of the United States, right? And so you get 2 for the Senate and 1 for every representative that you send, that you normally have. So my state has 16, at least until the census comes through. Then who knows what's going to be. So 2 of those are, you know, every state gets 2. So the other 14 are based on our population. And so even though, so just those 14, to me, should have been split about 50-50. Oh, the Bandolier mod. I love the Bandolier mod. I love the Bandolier mod. The Bandolier mod is... Is there no way I can look? There you go. Reload 30% faster. Yeah, that's a big bonus. And so I'm so glad I decided to loot this place before I reset it. Hi. And so you know, to me that means those 14 should have been split, basically 50-50. The reason the numbers are weird is because, you know, other people get voted for. So actually, it shouldn't be 50-50. It should be those 14 divided into whatever was voted on. And so you probably should have sent, representatives for at least two, if not three, maybe even four different groups, depending on how things voted out. I didn't look at the numbers for the lower amounts. Um, so maybe you put a lower threshold. You have to get at least 5% or something to get your uh, representative in there or something. I don't know. Anyways, I'm not changing the electoral college. I'm not in charge of that. I'm just saying that I feel the all or nothing that my state has is terrible because our state voted almost split half and half. Um, so 14 get to be decided on because well, no, that's not true. It's 16. 16 should have been decided on. So let's say once I got 7, the other side got 9. That seems fair to me. Um, and it doesn't matter which way that was. It just seems more fair to me than, oh well, they got point 0.3 more. They get all of it. And yeah. Anyways, we don't need it at all anymore, right? Because there's no delay. There's no reason to send them because you can just get the actual numbers. What's even crazier, and this is where it's the to me the real problem comes through, is that there's not a set way to do it. There are two methods of determining your electoral candidates currently. Two states do a proportional system, like I said, I feel everybody should have. And the other states do all or nothing. But why is it all or nothing? Because that is not representative of how people voted. And so, for most states, unless you vote with the majority, your vote doesn't count. It just doesn't count. The fact that you're a citizen of your state help them get more. This is what's messed up. So the fact that I'm a citizen in the state I live in means that I got counted on the census. And so because of my existence, we got, another number on the how many representatives you have. I mean, not directly me. I'm not the deciding number, but I am one of the 47% of voters that help make up the number of representatives we got. Or 47.3, whatever. And so that means that everybody else on the other side, their vote didn't matter, but the side they didn't vote for got to use the representatives that they allowed to exist to vote the opposite way that the people voted. How is that a thing? I am happy that this year our state has enacted a system of anybody can request a mail-in ballot. Because who wants to get up at 7 in the morning, man? Not me. That's what time my family usually goes to vote, is when the polls first open. So I will be probably requesting a mail-in ballot. I mean, it doesn't matter how I vote, right? Because I'm not not the electoral vote, and you know, your votes don't. Uh, even crazier is so the electoral college does not represent the votes in any way. And I mean, I guess they do. They represent the part of the vote that voted the majority. Uh, but they don't represent the people who didn't vote in the majority. Although technically the majority actually voted the other way. But because of the electoral college, I don't know. That's, to me, that's what's messed up. Is I get the Senate, right? I understand. The Senate is so states don't get steamrolled. Although there's so little that applies federally that, but it's so states don't get steamrolled by states with larger populations. However, if everybody's vote is supposed to count for president, then why do we have the version of the electoral college that we have? Because there are states that use, like I said, proportional. Ooh, that's a good one to have. Do my knuckles have room? I don't think I can have both, actually. I don't think they both will fit. Yeah. You either get knives or you get punches. One of the two. I like knives. And so even if they send people that don't match what you voted, they don't have to vote the way that they were sent either, which is messed up. They do, but they don't have to, because you are voting. You're voting to determine which people get sent. I'm gonna take those motor tools. I don't think I need Molotov cocktails. Oh crap, are you kidding me? Will this put it out? It did. Oof. Okay. Note to self. Don't throw Molotov cocktails. Don't drop Molotov cocktails on the ground. Didn't even throw it. Just dropped it on the ground. Apparently my thing is right here. I guess moldy bread. I still want to go upstairs and check those other bookshelves before I go. But yeah, so I don't understand what they meant by that. I didn't ask, obviously, because I didn't want to argue with someone. And I try to avoid getting into discussions with people on Facebook about anything. And, but yeah, it's one of those moments. It's just one of those moments where you're like, what? What do you mean? That doesn't even make sense. Why would you say that? What do you mean by that? And people agreed. I 100% agree with what you said. How? It's not a thing. Oh yeah, I forgot I get bonus movement when I kill something. I was like, why did I suddenly start moving faster? I already got that one. And of course we'll want to check out the good chests up here. Bad football player. It hurts my head, man. I just don't understand. But yeah, I'm not a fan of the Electoral College, if you can't tell. I just don't think it has a point anymore. It made perfect sense back in the day, right, when level 4. Okay. I, for some reason, could not tell what level those were. Ooh, yucca juice. Let me drink that. Should replace that one bit I'm missing. Oh man, I need to take these with me. Can of tuna. And I'm gonna keep those eggs. Oh, you know what? Grass can go. You know, when and then on top of that, right? So we're able to determine based on the votes, right? The actual majority pretty quickly. And then that is used to determine, for most states, all but 2, who's going to vote. And so it's not the actual majority, it's the majority of the state determines all, which I totally disagree with. I don't care which way it votes, for me, against me, whatever. It's not fair. It's not representational of the population. And I thought that's what we were supposed to do. And so but we don't have to send those people. And then if there isn't a clear more than half victor of the Electoral College, then Congress gets to vote for who's going to be president anyways. Which at least that, even that's not representative, because it's not representative. It upsets me a little bit. Anyways, that was my meta political commentary for the day. I try not to talk about this stuff, but that was just a mind-blowing statement that people, not one person either, there were 3 people who agreed with that statement. 3 people. And I'm like, none of you apparently know how the Electoral College works. Because the Constitution establishes the Electoral College, but the individual states determined how those representatives were elected. And so all the Constitution says is 2 plus number of representatives, and had previously or somewhere in there determined how you figure out how many representatives there are. It's based on population. And then the states got to decide how those electoral people were chosen, which unfortunately meant all or nothing for most of the states. And it's wrong. So someone tells you the Electoral College was designed to help our states with small populations. They're wrong. It's just another shady way for the people in power to get to choose who is going to be next in power. Although in today's age we have a bit more transparency when it comes to, you know, how many votes and who voted for what and all
All
that.
prices are fair here. You did it. Great job, Traveler.
Steel helmet. Ooh. It's not very good, though. Yes, your inventory. I'd like to sell you some gold nuggets. I'd like to sell you some silver nuggets. I'd like to sell you this iron helmet. Will you buy these too? Yeah. Gonna keep that stuff. And keep that stuff. Oh, there's a steel helmet. Why don't you just take that back? I don't know what I've got on my head, but I'm kind of hoping it's better than a 1. Why am I... Oh, because that's a steel shovel, right. This should be my shovel now, not this iron shovel. Here, buy my iron shovel for me. What do you got for ammo? So we did get a little, oh, you just got the AP stuff because I bought your other stuff, right? You're the guy I keep coming back to. So we did get, a little...
Y'all come back now.
A little, farther in the...
A little for Godspeed.
the D&D game that I run. I was hoping to move a little faster, but, I was away from my computer when someone posted, and so they moved on to something else. I'd like it if they'd respond a little more often than they do, but at least they're responding, right? I am very happy that they at least are, you know, posting at least a couple times a week. Because before that, I had one person not post in 5 months and another person not post in 2 months, and I was getting tired of telling them to take their turns. And so these guys at least respond a couple times a week. But they made it to the train station. I think this is where they were at last week because they made it to the train station, and then as they were on the, I'm pretty sure I mentioned that I had rolled. Oh shoot! You know what? I've got like no space. Wow. Just no space anywhere. Nothing I have matches. Oh, I should have went home. I'm gonna go home, I guess. I need to empty this stuff. And then I'll do this quest next time. So, they... when they got up on the train platform, they saw 4 guys carrying bags headed toward the maintenance area. They're dressed like maintenance workers, and so I wanted them to have a chance. I know what they're saboteurs, they're sappers, and so they are going to attempt to destroy the monorail track because the monorail track is the most direct route from, I call it monorail, it's a maglev, whatever. And it's my made-up world. It's whatever I want it to be. And so they, I roll stealth, right? And I roll really good on 3 of them and then really bad on 1 of them. They had to beat a 12. I think 12 was the highest number they had to beat, and I rolled a 9. And so I didn't make it too obvious. I mean, I feel like if you're close, it should be close, and so uh, uh, so like a 9 versus 12, that's only, 3 numbers, and I'm like, okay, so the guy points, right, and the guy next to him, pushes his arm down and whispers in his ear, just enough to nudge to say something's not right, but not enough that you're like, oh, those are bad guys. And, and so I have done a few things where you can't tell, right? Because shouldn't be obvious. It shouldn't be every time they see somebody they're like, oh well, you just described that guy. They're obviously bad guys. Um, and so they don't know what's going on, and then there's an argument going on nearby, and so they want someone to go look at that. And so I sent my character that I play over there. Um, and then the one guy's like, well, I don't really want to. I'm not stealthy, so I'm not gonna get involved. So I'm just gonna stand here. I'm like, all right. And then uh, the uh, the other guy goes up and he wants to talk to him, but he wants to stealth. Well, he wants to stealthily walk up to him, but he rolled a 6. In fact, he rolled like 2 6s for 2 different checks right in a row, which is terrible. Anything less than a 10 usually means you've failed. Um, and so they definitely saw him coming, and so they reacted to it. They stationed one of them as a guard to stop anybody from following up the stairs to the track, because they're using the maintenance stairs, and like steel catwalks to get up there. And so he goes over and he starts questioning the guy, and so that was most of yesterday's responses. The weekend is usually when I get the best responses from them, and so we had a back and forth conversation between him and the guy, and so I rolled deception, and I was like, yeah, 17 deception. They are not gonna know. They're not gonna know that this guy is a bad guy. And so he's like, I want to roll an insight check. I'm like, yep, I expected that. Roll your insight check. Insight check is used to determine how you feel about a particular person, like you think they're lying or something like that. And so he rolls his insight check. 21. I'm like, oh, he beat my 17. So I'm like, all right, 17, 21. That's like 4 points. That's pretty close. So I'm like, all right, you're not sure. You're not sure he didn't ask if he was lying. He asked if he was weird. uh, and so I'm like, you do notice that like the guy's accent is wrong. It's like something you've never really heard before. Um, and because they're speaking old, not old English, but they're speaking a form of English which is now common because it takes place in the United States because that's where I live. Um, and but it's been separated from the world, and so it has grown in different ways. And so even though they're based on the same root language, enough time has passed that there is some drift in the language. And while these are spies, uh, there is enough of a difference between their languages that it's detectable. It's detectable, and so he's pretty sure he's a bad guy, and then he makes the most outlandish statements, and I was like, I don't even know what to do with this, and so he's like, I tell him that I'm the supervisor of maintenance, and I'm like, you're standing there in armor, um, and carrying weapons, so I'm like, roll a deception. He rolls a low number, like a 6. So the guy, of course, doesn't believe him. I gave him a chance, but I didn't. I could see if he'd argued like, well, I'm on war footing because of the emergency, right? But he didn't say that. He just said he was gonna keep his eye on him. Because the guy pulled out a work order, I rolled for that, and he did a good job of forging a document. And this guy's a healer. He's a medic. He's not gonna, you know, he's not going to recognize I don't think they have anyone on their team. That's not true. That's not true. My character is a smuggler. He probably could have had a chance, but I don't think anybody else deals in that kind of stuff to recognize a document that was forged. And so so he decides he's going to go see what's going on over by the other guy. So then the one of the other players finally chimes in, and he says he decided he's going to go take a look after he sees the guy, talking to the first character because they were going to do it stealthy and he didn't feel it was stealthy, but now they're talking. And so when he gets up close, he wants to know what the guy looks like. And so I'm like, well, he's dressed in coveralls and he's one of the things you do notice is he's pale because they live underground in a bunker, so they're not wind weathered and tanned like everybody else in existence. And so he's like, well, I'm proficient in medicine, so I'd like to see if I can tell why he's pale. Like, is he nervous or um, something like that. And so he rolls a really good medicine check, like an 18 or something. I was like, no, he just pale. Like, you don't know why he's pale, but he definitely doesn't look tanned. And then you also smell as you're up close. You can smell some zinc or something. It smells like zinc coming off of him. And so he asks me on the side, what does that even mean? And I'm like, well, zinc is a common ingredient in ointments and sunscreen. Because of course they would be using sunscreen because they don't go out in the sun, and they're worried about things like radiation and stuff like that because they grew up in the emergency bunker underground, and so uh, so he tells the other guy that's what's going on. They also want one of the satchels that the men are carrying, but the men are heading up the stairs, so I'm not exactly sure how they're going to get the satchels. But their thief character, he wanted to see if he could slip past. I'm like, there's not enough room to slip past. He's basically standing in a doorway, um, and so he just said that he wanted the other guy um, to create a distraction so that he could climb the side of the stairwell and try and get up to the men with the satchels. So they're moving ahead. What's happening is the it's a underground governmental bunker that's been sealed off from the outside for like 500 years, 700 years, something like that. And they went into the bunker during a nanite plague that was created by humans, and so they are scared to death that the nanites are going to kill everything. It's the reason they went in the bunker. It'd be like going in the bunker to be due to nuclear war, right? And so when you come out, everybody's using nuclear like it's nothing, but to you, it's like the most horrible thing that could happen, and at any moment there could be a catastrophe, right? And because they had to use nuclear weapons to stop this nanite plague in its tracks, and so it is something that they should still probably be afraid of, but nobody remembers because I mean they remember, but they don't know what it means because all of civilization got wiped out, stopping this. Due to all the catastrophes, because I did a everything happened at once kind of thing, and everything happened over a few years kind of thing. And so these guys are out here to destroy the nanites once and for all. Now that the world is more stable, and they are military operatives, and so the military itself has launched an offensive against one of the cities because they're going to implement. They have a new item, a pylon, like a big antenna, they can drop in the middle of a city and then everything within the city and probably a few miles outside the city will be nanite free once they get it tapped into power, some kind of power system in the city. And so they're going to hit the big cities because the big cities have power systems still in this area, and so they've started attacking the city, but the military that they're fighting is getting reinforcements through the use of the maglev, and they weren't expecting that level of technology to still be in existence. And so these guys are there to shut down the maglev so that no more reinforcements are coming from the capital city. But yeah, so we'll see if they manage to stop that or not. There's only 4 guys. There's 4 players, 4 bad guys. The bad guys are all together, but the players are split up. Um, but they could probably do it. My plan was to wait for the train to come through to give them ample opportunities to catch them setting the bombs, maybe. Or like I'd roll for security or something. I wasn't just going to blow up the train without giving them a chance to stop it. I think it makes it more exciting to see. Although if they'd have failed their stealth, or if my guys had succeeded on their stealth checks, they'd have never even seen them. Never even seen them until somebody else would have had to notice them because they were just that good. But that one guy pointed. That one guy hadn't pointed. All right, with that, click like if you like, subscribe, and catch the next one. I will talk to you later.